Hello, everyone. It is Shannon here, coming to you live from Bat City Comic Professionals on Sunday night, which means it must be time to wind down your weekend. We are going to be talking about all of our small press and indie new releases that are coming out, that came out this week, and all of the awesome books that we got to read. And we're going to talk about some really great things that happened this week and some great things coming up your way. And we're going to do it all while we drink a bottle of wine, because we can't wind down your weekend without it. And this week we are kicking it off with Toro, which is a Spanish red wine. It's not necessarily a Tempranillo, but it is from Spain, and it is red, so it does have all the spices in it. It's supposed to be a blackberry plum with a kick of spice, which is pretty much everything that I like in a wine. So hopefully it's going to be beautiful and wonderful. They do say that Toro is the region of Spain as well as the name of the wine. So this is just one of those regions that's known for really, really great wine in Northwest Spain. So I'm excited. I'm going to kick off the show by taking a drink of that before we even get started talking about anything else, so we know what we're dealing with while we wind down our weekend. That jamminess hit you, didn't it? Matt loves jammy wines, and as soon as that started to hit the back of my throat, I was like, oh, this is super jammy. Matt's going to be happy.
Yeah. It's super robust, super jammy, would go great with the charcuterie board.
Oh, why you gotta rub it in? We forgot. We usually eat charcuterie board supplies, deliciousness with our wine that we finish up after the show, and we forgot to get some more this week. So now he's just rubbing it in. But it would go really great with that. It would also honestly go great with anything beef to me. This seems like it would complement a delicious cheeseburger really nicely. Not saying I'm going to get a delicious cheeseburger either, but because of that, the jamminess and the full bodiness, it does feel like it would go nice with more of the meats. Honestly, it feels like it would go nice with anything.
I would eat it with a grilled chicken maybe, or something really light, because it's so heavy and robust in body that I would want a lighter wine with a heavier meat.
See, and I don't feel like it's that heavy, ironically. I feel like it's got some flavors, but I don't feel like it doesn't come off as thick. They actually say to put it with grilled meats, stews, and sausages. So, there you go. I actually did not read that. I could see sausage being an option for this. I'm not really a sausage person, but I could definitely see that. I don't know that I would ever drink a wine with a stew. That's a weird combination to me. I am not the wine expert, though, so if they say it goes with stew, I'm sure it does. Now I'm does it also go with chili? I don't know. Is chili a stew? How do you feel about chili? Do you consider it a soup or a stew? Or is it its own category? Is this a taco is a hamburger is a hot dog kind of conversation? I feel like it is. But either way, it's good. It's not as spicy as I thought it was going to be. I thought it would have more of a kick, because they do say that it's got a spice to round it off, but it's kind of just on the edge. It's a hint of spice that rounds it out. But it does say it's full bodied, big, bold, and fruity, and I definitely think that's an accurate description of it. You're getting the full thing with this. And so this is what we're drinking. We're drinking Toro. If you're drinking something to wind down your weekend, again, even if it's water, orange juice, whatever you're having, let us know. Just let us know that you had a good week, what all happened. We want to hear all about it, and know what you're reading this week, because we're going to talk about what we're reading. I'm also going to share this out so that I can tell people that we're having some fun and talking some comics, so that they can join us. Maybe I'm going to do that. My Facebook hasn't updated. There we go. There we are, everybody. It's comics time. All right. There we are. Okay. So thank you for joining us. So we had a really big week at Bat City this week. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember everything that happened. We'll start with this. If you haven't tuned in yet in the month of April, you may not know that Bat City is the Mad Cave store of the month. Shout out to our incredible friends at Mad Cave who are celebrating their 10-year anniversary. This is fantastic. I love when smaller presses hit those big milestones, because it just shows the longevity of indie indie comics and small press comics, and how much people like us and you at home just absolutely love seeing those creators come up with something unique and original. And so Mad Cave is celebrating 10 years, and they are kicking off that 10-year celebration by announcing partnership stores that are people who support indie comics and the publishers like Mad Cave throughout the 10 years. And so Bat City was the very first ever Mad Cave store of the month as a part of this 10-year anniversary celebration. So again, thank you so much to Mad Cave. And as such, we have been doing a lot of really cool Mad Cave events. And so this last week, we actually started the week off with our Digital Lizards of Doom event, which was so much fun. We got to have a Zoom call with Gabriel Valentin, who is the creator of Digital Lizards of Doom and all things Digital Lizards of Doom, because not only do you get a book series, you get a puppet show, you get some educational materials, you get coloring sheets, you get all kinds of stuff when you get Digital Lizards of Doom. You even get a score, like a movie score that goes with the book that Gabe actually scored himself. It's fantastic. And so we had Gabe zooming in to talk to us. He met with a bunch of really cool like middle schoolers and talked about how he came up with Digital Lizards of Doom, how he got the idea and where it's going and all the cool things that you can do to be a part of that. So if you've got young kids, elementary, middle school age kids, they are going to love Digital Lizards of Doom. Check out the show on YouTube. It's a great way to learn some cool facts about science and other industries and learning pieces, because it's so great. We had a blast playing Lava or Licorice, which is the game show that they play within the show continuity on YouTube. So we did that this last Monday. It was fantastic. I'm gonna put this down for a second. We also got to go to St. Mary's Academy and have a comic workshop with them, which was fantastically fun. It was an amazing time. Those middle schoolers had some really, really great ideas. And then this week, oh my gosh, I'm like, what else did we do? We had so many things. We've been trying to like remember them all week long. We were at the Marauders game for Education Day, which on this past Wednesday, which was 1,800 students came from area elementary schools, and we had a blast. We got to do Dogman draw-offs, so each kid got 30 seconds to go against a partner and see who could draw the most accurate Dogman in 30 seconds or less. It was a blast. I'm pretty sure out of the 1,800 students, probably close to 1,800 of them actually tried their hand at Dogman. It was awesome. So thank you to the Marauders for letting us come and hang out with all the kids and have a blast at the game. And what a crazy game it was. They ended up winning that game in the bottom of the 12th after being 0-0 the whole time. It's insane. We got to be a part of their Women in Sports Night at the Marauders this past Friday, which was super cool. We yesterday had a really incredible experience. We got to go to the Imagine School North Manatee's annual Comic-Con, and we did a comic creation workshop. We had about 45 people participate in that, which was awesome. They had to open up like more space. So many people. We made up a character named Amanda Panda, who was dealing with a lot of issues, and it was so cool to see everybody come together and collaborate on Amanda Panda's story. But we actually got to do something really incredible. So if you don't know, Bat City has an award that we give out each year called the Jim Gaudet Educator Award. And that Educator Award goes to someone in the education industry who is working really hard to give kids a safe space to learn who they are and to be themselves, but is also encouraging reading and is encouraging learning and is encouraging new and exciting ways to pursue learning. And of course, we love it when that new exciting way is through comic books. And so we had the pleasure and the extreme honor of granting the Jim Gaudet 2024 Educator of the Year Award to Jason Wall, who is a teacher at the Imagine School North Manatee, who runs a pop culture club that has almost 100 kids that are a part of it, maybe over 100 at this point. And it's just challenging kids to find what they're into and explore it and use that as a way to teach the kids and reach them. He is such a passionate educator. We have worked with Jason so many times in the last 2 years since we've been here and have just seen countless experiences of him pouring his heart and soul into reaching his students and seeing them grow and challenging them to just do more and learn more. And so congratulations again to Jason. We love seeing what you're doing, and we can't wait to see where you go in the next 10 years of your education experience. So thank you for all the work that you're doing, and thank you for letting us be a part of that. We do have some things coming up this week. If you don't know, this week is the Remake Learning Days have kicked off. They are here. This is a joint effort with the Fred Rogers Experience, the foundation, and all of the things up in Pittsburgh, all the way down here in the Suncoast with the Patterson Foundation. And over the 4-county area of the Suncoast, there is almost 300 new and exciting events to help kids and families learn how to learn together and in unique ways. And so this week we have 2 events to get to be a part of Remake Learning Days. This Thursday night at 5 p.m., educators of any kind, librarians, administrators, teachers, we have a reception and a seminar where we're going to talk about teaching with comics and how to use comics in your classroom. There's going to be some snacks, some drinks, some prizes, some things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That kicks off at 5, and we'll probably end up going a little bit longer than 7, but just plan for that to be an open hour of communicating, and then some time where we actually talk about teaching it with comics. And then this Saturday, April 27th, we are actually going to have our Academic Avengers Family Fun Day. It is such a fantastically awesome time. It's an annual event for us. We absolutely love it. There's obstacle courses, there's challenge games, there's opportunities to learn how to talk to your kids about reading. Hannah's Enchantments is going to be out to talk about what it's like to find the whimsy and magic in everything in this world. Reflections of Manatee is going to be here to talk about the history of our community and some future activities we can do. Our friends at Segunda Vida just down the street are going to be doing a neighborhood cleanup, so you can walk over there and grab a cleanup bag and help beautify the neighborhood. And one of our amazing Bat Fam members, Joe Sumner, is going to be out here teaching yo-yo tricks for all the kids and letting you get a chance to actually be involved in those. So that is 11 to 4 this Saturday, April 27th. So make sure you come join us. And then keep in mind that a week from that is Free Comic Book Day, and there are 15 vendors, comic creators, amazing people, all kinds of fun stuff. I did leave out a friend that is coming. Should I say it? Should I tell them on April 27th? Should I tell them the big news? I should tell them the big news. April 27th for Academic Avengers. If you are here for the last hour from 3 to 4, we have a very special guest joining us for pictures, autographs, whatever. Bring all your kids, bring all your friends, because Marty, the Marauder from the Bradenton Marauders, is going to be at Bat City from 3 to 4, April 27th, taking pictures. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see Marty in the building. I'm probably going to cry a little bit because I love Marty so much. So it's going to be so great. So thank you, Marty, for sailing into Bat City this Saturday. And before you get there, because it is Mad Cave Store of the Month, and it is the launch of Dick Tracy this Wednesday. If you didn't know, Bad City has a Dick Tracy exclusive with our friends at Mad Cave. That was done by amazing artist Adrian Prudhomme and colorist Austin McKinley, who are Bat Fam members who are so excited about this. But I'm going to show you the sneak peek of these books. So this is the regular cover coming your way this Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Look at that, right outside Bat City. If you've been to Bat City in Bradenton, you know this is the exact entrance to the store. Adrian put in every single detail on that wall, and Austin just nailed the exact colors of the building. It's so fantastic. It's so good. It's beautiful. This is going to be $20 to just buy a copy, but this Wednesday, Adrian and Austin will both be here from 3:30 to 7:30 signing copies. So it's $20 to get this copy. It is how much to get it graded?
$50 in addition.
In addition to the $20, an extra $50 will get it graded with signature series. So you'll get that yellow label with Austin and Adrian's names. And, you know, maybe a couple extra special guests that you may know who are connected to Bad City if you really want to get crazy with your signatures. They will be signing. They are also offering $20 remarks. You can get one from each of them. Each of them are $20, or you can, you know, choose your artist that you want on there. But so it's however much you want to stack on this, you can make your Dick Tracy experience incredibly valuable to you. But wait, there's more. Because not only is there a regular cover, but you gotta fancy it up, especially if you're going Dick Tracy. So we've got a foil variant. This is so insane. We're gonna try to find where you can actually see
Keep
this.
Going
back.
Keep going back. There it is. Now the shine's starting. Keep going. Oh, there it is. Sweet. Now bring it. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous.
Man. Look at that beautiful thing. These are $40 a piece. All same thing. If you want to get it graded, signature series graded this Wednesday, after you get it signed by the guys, it's going to be $50. You can get remarks on this if you'd like to. They will both be here again from 3:30 to 7:30, signing copies of this book. I'm so excited. Not only that, but not only is this cover gorgeous, and do you want that, especially if you're a Bat fan member who really wants to have this exclusive like Bat City on a comic, but you've just got to read this issue. Dick Tracy coming out this week, and we will have the regular covers as well. If you're like, I don't want to read my Bat City cover, you can get a regular cover. We will have those available as well to celebrate the release. We are so excited. Thank you to our friends at Mad Cave for helping make this happen, and thank you to Adrian and Austin for their insanely incredible artwork. And to Matt, I have to personally thank Matt, because he, being the Dick Tracy expert, has made sure that everything is locked and loaded on the exact colors from the style guide and everything. So
this is also in a top loader and in a plastic sleeve, so please ignore the scratches on the camera.
Yes.
That I'm seeing here.
Yeah, I don't want to touch it. I asked Matt to leave it in the top loader because I didn't want to be responsible for this beautiful thing having my grubby fingers on it. But Wednesday, April 25th from 3:30 to 7:30. April 24th. Oh, sorry, it is. It's April 24th. Wednesday, April 24th, 3:30 to 7:30. You can pick up those copies, and then I was confused because there's more special stuff happening April 25th, but you'll have to stay tuned to find out what that is, because I don't think Matt's released that information yet. And then again, May 4th, Free Comic Book Day. Put that on your calendars, and also make sure you have May 11th with SiestaCon on your calendars, a brand new convention that is being brought to you by our friends at Darkside with some assistance from us, our friends at Sentence Gaming, and just this incredible community of comic people in this area. It's going to be amazing. It's only $10 for adults to get in. It's free for children. It's free parking. Even the food is like all under $10. There's going to be comic creators there. There's going to be celebrities. There's going to be Magic the Gathering card artists. CGC will be on site there to get, if you get any of those things signed. There's games, there's panels, there's comic creation workshops. There's going to be so much. Come in costume and get ready to have some fun. So I'm going to take a drink because that was a lot of stuff. Again, we're drinking Toro today, a Spanish red, and fun fact, that's still good. It's actually, that's a little more spicy now that it's been out and exposed to the air. I love how wine gets after it gets a chance to breathe. Someday I'm just going to turn the camera around when he's not looking, because Matt makes the best, like, I love this wine faces that I wish that y'all could see. It keeps me smiling, like, while I watch while I'm doing the show, just watching Matt's, like, I love this wine face. But speaking of things that we love, we're going to talk about some small press and indie books that came out this week, because this is a week where I was, like, so stoked to read my pile. And I have so many books that I literally was like, okay, Shannon, you can have 2 picks of the week, and you got to balance out everything else just to, like, give the show some flavor somewhere else, because I kept just sticking everything in my picks pile. So I moved it back, rolled it back a little bit, and decided I'm going to kick the show off with one of my favorite books in comics right now. This is absolutely the top for me. You know it's a pick. You know it's my favorite. If you've been in the store in the last 9 months, if you've watched this show, you know I am obsessed with the book. It won the the Batastic Award for like best book last year. So I thought you should know right away what you're dealing with. So we are kicking off with Something Epic, issue 9 from Image Comics, and Simon Krasinski, who is doing everything but translating in this book for the most part. And kudos. I believe his lettering is done by, DC Hopkins, but otherwise, handling the art and the writing and everything, and it's gorgeous. So if you don't know Something Epic, in volume 1, which was the first 7 issues, we learned that there are people who can see things that our imagination creates. Basically everything that you create with your imagination becomes real, but only certain people can see it, and those people are called epics. And in volume 1, we dealt with a kid who had the power as a child, kind of let go of it, and as an adult had to come back and battle against his own demons and the world that he created and how bad that was going. In this volume, we are actually following a woman who is an epic. And not only is she an epic, but she is an epic detective. And she has been hired because major characters from different literary worlds or imaginative worlds, not even just literary, imaginative worlds have gone missing or died. So in the first issue, we find out something has happened to Sherlock Holmes, and she kind of starts to do her investigation. She's hired to do with this detective Duck, who is very adamant that you do not call him Howard, mostly because of probably licensing rights. But she is currently investigating the disappearance of Zeus. That is the second person that has gone missing that she has to figure out what happened. And we kind of learn in this point that the belief in gods almost make them something that once their time period runs out, it's almost like only epics can truly see them. And so for her, she's like, I read about them in a book when I was a kid, and so now she's got experience because this epic has actually been able to go into books her whole life and spend time with the literary characters. It wasn't necessarily her imagination that was bringing them to life. It was other people's. What I love about this is that volume 1 really focused on the art behind imagination and how as an artist you create things and the things that you do. Volume 2 is focusing on the words and the writing. And so if you were an artist, if you were an imaginative person at all and you haven't read Something Epic, please do. But as an artist reading volume 1, you're able to see those moments and feel that experience. For me as a writer reading volume 2 so far, especially this issue, it just talks about the power of words and the power of what we do with them and how the combination of certain words creates certain things and the power of that comes behind them. And it's absolutely beautiful. Simon is just does incredible explanations for the power of our imagination, and I continuously just want to live in the ideas that he discusses and the way that he puts them together, which is why I was like, this has to be the first book of the night, even though it's definitely something that will always be Batastic Award level, one of my favorite books. It is also something that I'm like, you all needed to have this experience to start your night out, because we cannot talk about the power of words and art and imagination without kicking it off with hey, by the way, they're powerful and they're incredible. And so it's so good. Just read Something Epic. And I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I'll trade weight it because it's so heavy. You know what? Read volume 1 and trade, and then pick up these. Don't wait. Catch up. Get on it. You don't want to fall behind. It's so good. So good. Up next, we have Kill Your Darlings, issue 8 from Image Comics. This is the wrap up of Kill Your Darlings, and so we kind of get a double issue in this. They really kind of condensed 8 and 9 into one thing. But if you've been reading, that's a big moment, so I won't show you that. If you haven't been reading Kill Your Darlings, you may not know, but this is the story of a young girl named Rose who, very much like we were just talking about Something Epic, when she was a child, she built an imaginary world that she could live in. But for her, it was real. And while she was in that imaginary world as a child, she ended up causing real damage to the real world. And so she gets sent to an asylum to live, and it isn't until her teenage years, that one of those imaginary characters comes back to her and is like, hey, by the way, you never had a mental breakdown. None of that was fake. It's all actually real. And we're here to take you back because the world is being destroyed by evil of some sort and we don't know what it is. And we need you to come back and save the day. And so we've been building up to Rose's epic battle. And this issue kind of jumps us to the future where we've seen this battle going on for a long time. And now we are actually facing it. And so this is Rose squaring off with that ultimate evil and that little bit of herself that has to decide, like, am I going to cross the line to destroy this evil, or am I going to just be who I want to be and celebrate the world and explore the world and defend the world in the way I think it needs to be done. So this epic adventure is coming to an end right here, but that's great for those of you who've been trade waiting, because that means we are going to get a trade soon, or you can grab all 8 issues now and get caught up. The Prism, issue 7 from Ablaze Comics. We are dealing with a world that has been falling apart. We've destroyed the environment. We've destroyed our resources. We need to figure out something. And basically the way scientists have figured it out is that if we use sound technology, we can actually like change the vibrations of our earth and protect them and move on and kind of pull that together. And so they have brought every greatest musician on the planet together and built a super band. And now that super band is out in space and they are like, hey, you guys have to play music in the middle of space and actually like make this happen for us, because if you don't, we're not going to be able to survive. And so they are out there in this space world trying to play this music, and one of the guys has made some terrible decisions and is kind of tripping really hard in the middle of space and loses his entire mind, and it's damaging the whole experience for everybody. And so now they're having to figure out like what they're going to do, whether or not they're going to be able to continue this mission. Is he replaceable? Is the world replaceable? Like, are they going to be able to salvage? A lot of questions get asked very quickly. But one of the things that's happened with this book is we've never really focused on what is going on with the earth and how we've destroyed it. And in this issue, I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of it, we get our second little glimpse into what all is going on with the world and why they need to save it. And it's like, hey, maybe the vibration problem isn't the thing. Maybe you need to actually get out here and just save people because you're not actually working towards it. And so is there going to be this rebellious resistance kind of situation coming against us? Is there going to be something that like destroys all of this? We're going to find out in volume 2, because this is essentially our cut point before we go into the next volume. So we're going to see how that cliffhanger resolves when that book comes back. Lotus Land, issue 6 from Boom Studios. This is the wrap up of Lotus Land. And honestly, for me, I'm so happy that I finally know how it ends, because I finally feel like those little pieces here and there that didn't make sense to me have come into place. They did so well. There were so many times where I was like, where is this going and what are we doing with this book? And they actually made it work together really well, to the point where I'm like, I want to go back and read all 6 issues as one, because I think the story works as a complete entity. So those of you who haven't checked in yet, this is a great time to jump in, because I think you need to read the story in all 6 issues together. But this is a story about a man who had a special ability and was trained in that ability with people who are kind of overseeing this government in this post-apocalyptic world, this new world where we've rebuilt everything. And we find out that they are essentially using these kids who had powers to regulate their world and run different programs. And we also learn essentially that nobody can die in this world, that they just basically build an AI version of you to keep it together, so that nobody ever has to deal with loss or grief or pain or suffering. And so they really have a great story here where this one man who's like called in to solve a mystery ends up realizing more about the world and about himself through the process. And honestly, this ending was so good. The whole time I've been like, I like this book, but what are you doing with it? And after this ending, I was like, that ending was so good. Like, way to stick it. Way to stick your landing. That last issue of a comic can really make or break, like, whether or not the story altogether works. And this one definitely brought this together in a way that I was like, ooh. And you go with an ending that's not the one that, like, everybody would check off the box. Like, okay, I nailed it. Like, this is way to do something different and wrap it up so well with Lotus Land. The Agent, issue 5 from Ablaze. This is our wrap up for The Agent ? I feel like we could do so much with this story if we wanted to keep going. But this is all about a woman who is a police officer, and she is investigating a situation that she thinks is just a drug situation. And she's like, ends up finding out that there is a whole world of mythological creatures that she was never aware of. And not only is that true, but she is also a part of it in a way that she never anticipated for. And so now she's working with an agency that is in charge of making sure that supernatural forces never actually, like, leak into the world. And basically, you're dealing with some werewolf type situations, some witches, all those kinds of creatures. And in this issue, I don't want to spoil anything because this is the last one, she kind of comes to this big climax of you solving her. Is she going to solve her case? Is she going to be able to stop the bad guys from doing what they're doing? And is she going to make some choices on whether or not she's going to be a cop, or is she going to join this agency? I always love when we have the paranormal investigative, like BRPD, MI666 kind of things. I love when we do that. And this one's so great because they don't actually focus on the agency and the rules. They kind of just focus on this one girl who's like, look, I'm just a cop. I want to solve my case. All of this is weird. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, you say, like, magic, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. I just want to solve my case. And at the same time, we're getting, like, a universe being built around her, whether she wants it or not, which made for a really cool story. Assassin's Apprentice Volume 2, Issue 5 from Dark Horse. This is one of those moments where I remind you that, yes, you do have to read Volume 1 to read Volume 2. If you did not read Volume 1 of Assassin's Apprentice, you will have no earthly idea at all what is going on in this story. But in this issue, in this volume, I guess I should start with, we are following a kid who was the illegitimate child of a prince. And in the first volume, they kind of just decide they're going to train him to be an assassin because he can get close enough to people in the royalty, but can also be completely written off if they want to because he is the illegitimate child. And in volume 2, the prince's wife has come back and is like, I actually think that I should raise you as my son. I think that you should follow in what I'm doing. And she's kind of trying to train him in all of the appropriate things. Well, in this issue, he actually goes to get trained in the skill because he has the ability to read and control thoughts on people. And so he is going to be trained in that skill by a skill worker who is awful. He is a terrible, terrible man. And this boy, who has been trained to be an assassin, who has been trained to be royalty, who has been trained to be an ambassador, has to learn to put aside all of his pride and problems to deal with this. And honestly, at the end of the day, he doesn't really care about people. He only cares about dogs. And he has the ability to use the skill on dogs and communicate with them. So he's just trying to really survive this crazy world so that he can live happily ever after with some puppies and just be happy. So he's just got to deal with all of this political drama of this thing. I mean, this is almost like the happiest version of Game of Thrones that you could possibly get, because this is just like the boy, like, who should be a problematic child who's just like, I just like dogs. Like, let me just live my life. And somehow it's super endearing. I'm not normally like a high knight royalty kind of like in this kind of capacity, like where you have to go through all of the ceremony and almost high fantasy, like describe the table and all of that person. But I love this book. It's really, again, he's just so endearing as a character that I just want to work out for him. Cobra Commander issue 4 from Image, Skybound, and our Energon universe. once again, as if you didn't know, because I'm sure you all do by now, but I'm gonna say it every time, there is a new thing called the Energon Universe, which is the crossover world for Transformers and G.I. Joe at Image. This is Cobra Commander's story. We are getting a lot of miniseries from the different G.I. Joe characters. And this one's kind of following Cobra Commander at the beginning of his career. He has been trying to convince the people of Cobra Law that he is going to be the ultimate, that they need to, give him this commander position and trust that he has a plan, because he knows that the Energon energy is going to be the ultimate power that they absolutely need. And so he has gone out on a mission to find said power, finds it in the Everglades of Florida, and is currently battling against some people who have been protecting it as a family for a long time. And in this issue, we see, as always, some double crossing, some underhanded deeds, and, as Joshua Williamson does so well, some great cliffhangers to get you excited for the next issue, which I believe will be the final one of Cobra Commander's miniseries. But we are getting there. We are built, like, Joshua Williamson is kind of handling all of our G.I. Joe stuff. You may know him from, DC and all the Dawn of DC stuff he's working right now, or all of his amazing indie books like Nailbiter and Dark Ride and things like that. He is absolutely just, like, even if you're not a G.I. Joe fan, he is making this accessible to everybody and yet giving you all of your fan service if you are a G.I. Joe fan. So he's really building a great universe on the G.I. Joe side, and we've had our little teasers on both ends of how this really connects to the Transformers. Obviously, we're hunting for the Energon energy source, the what we have always called the Allspark in the Transformers world, where, we're searching for those kinds of things. But it is going well if you're not Cobra Commander. We've got Hack Slash Back to School issue 4 from Image. This is the wrap up for now, hopefully, of Zoe Thorogood's Hack Slash. Honestly, Tim Seeley, if you're out there and you're watching the show, which I know you never will because you're so cool and you're probably not sitting around watching my tiny show on YouTube. But if you ever are, could you just keep letting Zoe Thorogood work on the Hack Slash world? Because she has done such a good job with this book. It has been fantastic. I have so many non-Hack Slash fans that have been picking this up just because Zoe's on it and have fallen in love with this character. If you don't know, this is about a girl who her job is to slash up monsters. She kills slashers. She beats them down, and she has gone back to this academy that's supposed to be training her on the right way to do it, and she's made some friends. And over the course of this mini series, they've discovered this monster that's like this mother monster, which of course is entirely triggering for her because her mother is the reason that she became a monster slasher. And in this issue, we kind of see how that trigger and how that situation is going to play out for her. And for a girl who's felt like she's always had it under control and has been, like, making sure that she's always been on top of things and in the right, she completely and totally loses it in this issue. And seriously, just give Zoe another volume because I need to keep going with this. It's so good. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm not going to show you the second half because it's all spoilers. It's called Back to School, which does make you think like it's kind of a YA version, a young adult version of Hack Slash. And up until this issue, it was. After this issue, or starting with this issue, I guess, please don't give this to young people, because it does go back to the, like, mature levels of Hack Slash. So that's your warning. Spin the Night, issue 4 from Kong Comics. This is a horror filmmaker, Jackie Kong, making a comic about all of the crazy B-movie kind of stories that she tells in. This is all about a group of girls who have a slumber party, and they decide that they are going to call out one of those, like, spirits that, you're supposed to call at a slumber party when you're teenage girls. And they end up invoking this spirit and kind of making her really mad because she's like, I wanted to be included, and now y'all are leaving me out again. And so they end up getting essentially punished by this spirit, so where now they have to have a slumber party every Friday night, and so that she can come to it and like live out her slumber party dreams and just be friends with them. And on the very first night of the very first slumber party, there is an alien invasion, and now these people are dealing with essentially like aliens that are creating zombies out of humanity and are trying to just save the day. And we get seriously all of the B horror movie experience that you could possibly want in this. Like, my favorite thing in the whole wide world is that in, I think it was issue 2, they end up going to one of their grandma's houses, and the grandma collects like the porcelain dolls, and one of the like porcelain toy dolls is possessed. And now that's just a character in the story, and she's my favorite character. She's fantastic. And this, it's so cheesy and so wonderful in all the right ways. So if you are looking for a good B horror movie that you can experience in comic format, Spend the Night is here for you to grab. Before we get into number 3, so I'm going to take another drink of Toro. So yummy. Okay. All right. We are going to hit up Under Heist, issue 3 from Boom Studios. This is everything that could possibly go wrong in a heist book. And it is done so well. This is the story of a guy who needs to get his life together and feels like the best way to do that is to do that one last job. And if you watch our live stream, you know that when somebody says they're going to do one last job, it never works out. And so this guy organizes a team, and they're going to do this job. And he's like, hey, I've been working in the like subway, we're building out new tunnels and everything, but I'm right below the bank. Like, I think we can do this heist, and we can use this abandoned subway tunnel. Like, we've got this. It doesn't go well. And if you've been reading the series, you know that we don't think everybody made it out. We don't know if anybody made it out, but we are still trying to figure all that out and what is going on, because as this guy is piecing together what actually happened in this heist, we are seeing it get crazier and crazier every issue. I cannot wait to see the bigger reveals and stuff that are definitely coming at the end. Like, I need my Ocean's 11 moment where they show me how this didn't work out. I can't show you anything else because this is a huge issue on the back half. And so, but I need that. I need my Ocean's 11 moment where you sit there and you go, I think I got it figured out. And then they show you the whole thing and you're like, okay, maybe I didn't have it all figured out, but I knew that one part. I feel like that's what we're going to get when we're going to get to the end of this, because every little piece of the puzzle that you're like, oh man, this is that, like, it's so good. But seriously, this is, I'm going to give you comp titles, which is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but I think you need them to do it. It is Ocean's 11 meets The Sixth Sense. So you need to read it. If you want to see how those two things actually go together, read that book. We've got the Displaced issue 3, also from Boom Studios. This is a story of a town that gets sunk into a sinkhole. And this is not the first time that's happened. Like, towns have started to disappear all over the country. And every time a town disappears, anybody that's from that town that's, like, gone on vacation or is out, like, just in the next town over, they end up just getting forgotten. Like, the world doesn't know who they are, and only other people who were out of town at the time will register that those people are people from the town. And so we have a group of 5 or 6 people who were out of town, and it's really small town. It's kind of like, for those of us in Bradenton, be like if you were in Sarasota at the time and Bradenton sunk into the sinkhole. And so they're like, we were all over here, we were doing whatever, my family is gone, nobody knows who I am. Like, kids, like, parents don't know who their kids are, husbands don't know their wives, like, none of those people exist. And so, because the town is just completely gone and everybody connected to it is just gone. And so they are staying in a cabin that one of them's family owned, but like nobody ever goes there anymore. And they are trying to figure out how to get food and how to get money because their bank accounts, everything, they're just completely gone. And we have the old man who is our sage of advice, who's like, I've seen this happen in time after time in different towns, and I'm here to tell you like kind of how to survive. And so you get that, you know, you always have your sage in your little horror movie. That's the old person who's going to tell you all of the things, but tells you in like the creepiest way possible. So you're like, I don't know if this is good or bad, but this group of people does not get along. They are not working together, even though they need to, because they're the only ones who remember each other. I don't know if there's a way to put it back together. Our main character, he's kind of been given the advice that he is both the poison and yet the cure for these people who have been displaced. And so is he going to be able to save everybody, or is he going to cause everybody to die? We're going to find out probably in the next couple of issues, because I think it's only a 5-part series. Edie, what you eat, issue 3 from Blood Moon Comics. This is kind of like The Blob. It's another one of those great like B horror movies transferred to comics to give you just a fun experience. But it started out not going well for Edie. She wasn't very popular in school. She had like her one friend. She ends up, the popular boy pays attention to her. We all know how that plays out for her, because when you're the girl that, you know, isn't popular in the school, and suddenly the main character energy of the popular kid starts to pay attention to you, you know that it's going to end badly. And not only did it end badly in that moment, but Edie ended up getting possessed, consumed, I'm not really sure what the right word is, hijacked by an alien entity who is now just craving meat. And specifically whole humans and other things all at one time. And so Edie has recently been dealing with a bad choice she made when she was starving as an alien, and a loved one that she consumed is now kind of her conscience inside of her craziness that's going on. And we are seeing in this issue, we see her best friend learn a little bit about it, and we see how that's going to play out with like the school and the community and the world, because Edie branches into wanders off into the real world for the first time out of her house since everything has happened. It's so great. Again, if you're a fan of things like The Blob and things, movies where it's like, oh, this person's going to get the revenge, but then also like they're consumed by it is the allegory. This is definitely one for you. Spellweaver, issue 3 from Keenspot. I think this cover does not give you anything about the story. It kind of is very like opposite end of the spectrum of the story, but this is about a girl who has magical powers. She is a spellweaver, and she is able to just heal people and do things. And one day her and her friend are going to kind of try to earn their keep at the market, and she ends up falling into a situation where she tries to save somebody using her magic that she's not supposed to use, and she ends up getting attacked by a vampire, and ends up in this deep sleep. And so now they have taken her to the woman in the woods, who's supposed to be magical in her own right, who is trying to save her from whatever it is that is consuming her, because they're like, if it's a vampire, she should turn into a vampire, but she hasn't yet. We get to see her in this imaginary world, whatever like half-life that she is living. We see her trying to fight her way through that world, which may lead her back. But we also get to see her friends trying to save her from the darkness that lies ahead of her. This is a really great young adult novel style story of a girl who has magical powers. So if you're into those young adult witch stories, this is going to be a really great one for you. And hopefully these kids can save her and she can come back. But also I just really like her as a character, and I want to see where she's going. All right, we're going to get a little heavy for a second, because we've got Animal Pound issue 3 from Boom Studios, and Tom King is really, really, really flexing his writing muscles on this in so many ways. This is a retelling of Animal Farm, but with animals who would live in the pound. So it's dogs, cats, and bunnies. And in issue 1, they take over the pound, they get all the humans out of it, and they kind of create their own political structure on how they're going to live, and how they're going to regulate who's in charge of what. You know, how do we keep the dogs from eating the cats or the rabbits? How do we get food? Which they figure out in issue 2 that the internet is their friend, and they figure out that the humans had the little system where people could make donations to the pound based off of watching videos of the cats be adorable. And so now they are using that as a way to raise money, get donations, and turn it into food. This is honestly one of the best illustrations of how politics in America works I've ever seen in my life. Because unlike, you know, Animal Farm, that was about totalitarianism and all of that, this is about American democracy. Like, they weigh out essentially all the animals to create an electoral college. They get, you know, oh, each person votes, but your vote is worth this much because you represent this much of the body of the country, or the pound in this case. It really explains American democracy, but it also really explains how that falls apart. And in this issue, we really get to see that, because this is the first time that we see one of the leaders' terms end, and we see leaders who think, oh, I need to actually be respectful of the terms. We see leaders who get voted in who are not good, even though they had popularity with the people. And we see leaders who come in and are going to really disrupt the balance of everything that has been built by the animals at the pound. We're 3 issues in. You know, I always say the 3rd issue is the turn, and Tom King is a master of the turn, and we get a great representation of that. Seriously, some of Tom King's best writing, and he is an extraordinary writer, no matter how you feel about the stories that he's told. You cannot deny that Tom King is a fantastic writer, especially in his indie works, and this is beyond fantastic. And seriously, great way to understand American democracy, or just talk about it with people. We've got You and I, issue 3 of 6, and this is from AWA, and this is a part of J. Michael Straczynski's Resistance universe. It's back. We are re-establishing, rebuilding that universe back at AWA, which is what really put AWA on the map. If you don't know, the Resistance universe was all about a bunch of people who got sick from a virus. Those who lived ended up with superpowers, or should have ended up with superpowers, as we learn in You and I, that not everybody who got the virus actually and survived actually ended up with the powers. The government has regulated how powers are used. Families don't really necessarily accept that people with powers, neither does society. In this story, You and I, this is about a guy named You who has been helping a group of people, a group of refugee heroes, survive with their powers, and they call them reborns. He's helping them survive and protecting them. He has this ability, though, where he sees the world essentially as a comic book. He sees everything in terms of this elaborate show. And so when he battles everything in his indestructibility that he has, he's really seeing it as if he's battling evil goons in that comic book world. And in this story, he meets a girl named Isabel, who is the I to his You, and she is a reborn who actually did not get superpowers. And so they have connected together, and he's like, you are the person I've been waiting for. It's you and I. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to bring this justice to this world. And so we are going to see how their story plays out. In this issue, we finally meet our bad guy, really, for this. We've only seen minor bad guys in the first 2 issues. We finally see who the big bad's going to be in this one, and kind of building out that world. You can read this without having read The Resistance. I think that's important to note. Most books in the Resistance universe can be read without reading The Resistance. J. Michael Straczynski has been working really hard on that. They usually tell you a little bit about the virus and the reborns at the beginning of every story, so it's kind of just there for you. Because J. Michael Straczynski does write everything in the Resistance universe, he's really able to control that narrative and give you that guide. But know that you don't have to know about Resistance to read You and I. But Beyond Real, issue 3 from Vault Comics. You may have read this first issue for free because Vault is awesome and gave out a bunch of free copies to people everywhere, which was awesome. And you may still be reading this. If you haven't, you should definitely go back and pick it up because you get double page spreads that look like this coolness. This is the story of a girl who believed, that everything in life was great and wonderful, and her partner, he believed that the world was a simulation and that we were all kind of living essentially in a Matrix type world. And in the very first couple pages of the very first issue, they get in a car accident and he is unresponsive, and she's like, I have to do everything in my power to save him. And so she ends up in this world that is the simulation that he has been describing to her forever. And so she is trying to find the way to save him through that, because she's like, I have to do whatever it is that I can. What's really cool about this is the art does change with each issue based off of where in the simulation she is. And so sometimes it's very digital looking, sometimes it's very watercolory. And this one, you get Jordi Belair showing off on colors with all those bright, elaborate colors to really bring out this like fantasy world that they're in. It's fantastic. Such a great way to kind of show what it would look like if our world was controlled by something else, and if you stepped into it, like where would you find it and how do you travel through all those worlds. It's just a really cool way to do that, and I can't wait to see if she's able to save him or if nobody makes it out. We've got Blue Book 1947 issue 3 from Dark Horse Comics. This is James Tynion telling us all of the stories from the Blue Book, which is the story of aliens in America. If you are an X-Files fan and you have never picked up Blue Book, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But this, we've been following the story of like the 1947 things that happened, which is the first real sightings of what we eventually called UFOs. And we're following a man who is really doing those investigations into it and trying to piece together everything that was a sighting and trying to figure out like, okay, what are they? What is UFO? What is just people, full of conspiracies because they heard something on the radio and they didn't know what it looked like. And so now they're matching it to it. In this issue, we go to a little place called Roswell. And we actually get to see what happened with the Roswell story. You get that in-depth information. So if you've never been to Roswell, you've never been to the Roswell Museum, this actually does a really great job of showcasing what you learn about in Men in Black. And I do love that they do make a reference to the Men in Black in this issue, because that's kind of really when they started being a big force in the American government. So if you're a fan of alien stories and you know that like the truth is out there and you want to just live your best David Duchovny life, this is the way to do it and experience it. And then the one thing that you need to know is that at the back of every Blue Book story, there is a follow-up story that in the first one is kind of about alien sightings, like the first volume of Blue Book, which you don't have to read this. It's kind of about like aliens or weird things that happen all around the world. This one's a little bit more urban legend cryptid stories at the back of these. I feel like with these, it's almost not even like, oh, were they aliens? This is just like, hey, like weird stuff happens in the world and nobody can explain it. And so if you just want to open up some case files and figure it out, this is a great way to do it. And what's really cool is when you read this book, you can actually go online or open an encyclopedia if you still have them, and you can actually match these stories almost word for word to encyclopedia entries and Blue Book case files and things like that. So it's a really cool way to do it. And Michael Oeming's art looks so cool on it. So great book. John Carpenter has a new book out. It is The Toxic Commander. Obviously, this is issue 2 from Dark Horse. John Carpenter does not write these. They are just John Carpenter's properties. And actually, I think this one is Michael Morrissey. Yep, who wrote your Berserker story. He does a lot of all of the sword and sorcery stories pretty much that are coming out these days. He's also on Dick Tracy with Alex Segura. He's helping out with that story. So, but this is all about a man who makes a terrible decision. He is a rich billionaire who is like, I'm going to dig deep into this place and I'm going to find this special thing in the earth resources that nobody's ever found. And I mean, if you've ever seen any horror movie or anything John Carpenter has ever been a part of, you know that anybody that's a rich billionaire that says, I'm going to do something, is going to do the wrong thing. And this is one, yet again, instance of that happening. And he has awakened an evil that is now taking over and zombifying people and making monsters out of all of them. And we've got the commander of the unit that he brought in that is supposed to stop everything, who is like, look, I'm going to stop everything because I'm going to stop you. You are not going to be in charge of the decision-making anymore because you're still trying to drill even though all of this bad stuff has happened. And he's like, you can't stop me. Nobody can stop me. I make my own choices. And I can't wait for this guy to get his. Let's just be honest. It's going to happen. It's going to happen brutally and terribly, and it's going to be amazing when it does. But we are continuing to see this monsterness grow and everything happening in this. And again, this is like a week of great, like, B horror, like 70s, like, style horror movies just really coming to life in comic format. So, I guess if you're a fan of that, you know, old, like, 70s style horror movies, you just need to read comics, and you need to read them this week. We've got Moon Man issue 2 from Image Comics and the Black Market Narrative, which is Kyle Higgins' imprint. And really the thing that you may need to know that you may not know, Kid Cudi is writing this book. So if you are a fan of Kid Cudi's music, Kid Cudi is a huge fan of comic books and has always wanted to write one. And guess what? It has happened now. And so Moon Man is all about a guy who is from Cleveland who is working with a private organization that is trying to get to the moon. And him and his, you know, whatever teammates go on this mission, and they get out to space, and something happens while they're in space, and this is all pre-issue 1. Something happens while they're all out in space, and there is like 15 seconds of computer silence, radio silence, camera silence. Nobody knows, like, they blacked out. Nobody at all knows what happens. And he comes back. He's gone home. Suddenly he has these, like, crazy, like, interesting powers. He doesn't really know what they come from. And he's, like, trying to use them for good, but also not tell anybody, including his younger brother, that he has the ability to do this because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. But he also knows that, like, big government and big business is really bad, so he's trying to go against them in, like, the best way possible. So in his day-to-day life, he's kind of disappointing people because he hasn't really come up with a way to, like, balance that identity where he can stand up against the evil corporation but not expose that he's, like, working against them. And so we also don't know if these powers are good or bad yet. Nobody's figured it out. Like, the people that have done all the research on them are like, we still don't know what happened in that time period. And they're like, neither do we. And nobody can find any, like, weird stuff. And things happen in issue 2 that are like, oh, is he gonna make it? Are things gonna go well for him? We're gonna find out. I'm really curious. I'm gonna hold this up again. I'm really curious to see if this is going to be in the Radiant Black universe in some way, because this could connect really easily in the same way that Rogue Sun did and Dead Lucky, where it was like they don't necessarily have the same powers as the Radiant people, but they are another superhero and they have this, you know, connection. And so is this going to be another superhero that connects into our Radiant universe? Kyle Higgins is writing on this, so with Kid Cudi, so it's highly likely. I would love to see him. I'd love to see Moon Man in this summer supermassive crossover. Just saying. Golgotha Motor Mountain issue 2 from IDW. This is about 2 brothers who live in Golgotha, which is in Kentucky, I believe. It's a very, very small place that, like, if you drive through it, you already missed it kind of situation. And in it, they are meth dealers, or meth makers. They're not dealers. They actually just make it and sell it to dealers. And in the very first issue, at the very beginning, a giant meteor from outer space crashes through their lab. And they're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We were supposed to take this, like, in right now. And they're like, you know what, let's just chop up the meteor and pretend like that's our drugs. And so that's what they do. And it turns out that's a terrible idea, because this meteor is like a sentient alien being that is now really messing people up. But these two brothers, they just really want to move to St. Louis, Missouri, and live like a normal, happy life, and get out of this mess that they've been in. And one of the brothers had to prove that, you know, the stuff that they brought was good, and he ended up taking this drug that they pretended that they had out of this meteor, and now he's having these crazy dreams, these crazy adventures in his mind, and some weird stuff happening to the outside. In this issue, we are also introduced to a police officer who is very, like, crazy himself, very thinks he's in a movie where he is like the lone force of the law in the Old West kind of thing, and is investigating this situation, and he is already taking it way too far. And the cool story that they use in this one, that is the parallel of like the movie to his experience, has a very Dead Box feel, if you read Mark Russell's Dead Box, because they're like telling you about the movie, and then they're telling you about the guy, and then you're also seeing the story as it plays out. It is so strange, but it is so well written, and it is such a great story already. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you're only on issue 2, so now's a great time. And speaking of, we talked about Mad Cave celebrating their 10th anniversary. IDW is celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, and that's incredible. So congratulations to IDW for that. All right, it's back. Everybody in the world has asked me when this book is coming back. It's here. It's finally back. Almost Dead issue 2 from Ablaze is here. I have had so many people over the last couple months ask me if the book just got canceled, because it has been probably 3 or 4 months since issue 1 came out. It did not. It is still here. It is back. And it is so worth the wait. So if you didn't read issue 1, it's perfect, because you didn't have that long wait. Now you can catch up with the rest of us. But this is, issue 1 opens with a girl who is trying to go home to get to her uncle. And when she gets to the airport, she realizes that like something has happened. Like she crashes. She ends up blacking out in the bathroom. And when she wakes up, there is a zombie apocalypse, but she has no idea that this is going on. Like, we as readers see it everywhere. You know all the signs. You've seen a million zombie apocalypses. This girl is just like, hey, you look like you need help, and like trying to go through. And she's basically like Rick Grimesing her way through the airport. And then she goes to like drive home in something, like she ends up taking somebody's car because she needs it, like she's like desperate and everything's going crazy, and she takes somebody's car and she blacks out in the car and still has no idea zombie apocalypse is happening. So issue 2 starts where issue 1 left off, and she wakes up in her neighbor's house, her childhood neighbor's house, and he's kind of like, I don't know what's going on, phone lines are down, I don't have the internet, I never had the internet, so I don't really know what's going on, I don't even have a smartphone, no clue. And she's like, I have to get into my uncle's house. I have to find my brother. It turns out her brother's in New York, very aware that a zombie apocalypse has broken out, and nobody knows where her uncle is. But what's really cool about this is we learn that these kids might actually have been secretly trained for something to happen, but even they didn't know what it was. So, like, is the uncle a doomsday prepper, or did he always know zombie apocalypse is going to happen? And how did he know it was going to happen? We're going to find out as this story keeps going. But if you are a fan of zombies, this is a great zombie story so far that really kind of brings you a little bit of that Walking Dead, like slow-moving sense of dread. Okay, let's connect the people. And then also gives you a little bit of that, like, almost 28 days later, like, people are moving fast, zombieism is here, you have no hope, kind of thing. It's a really great combination of all of the zombie genre. Sam and Twitch, Case Files issue 2 is back from Image Comics. This is a part of your Spawn universe. For those of you who don't know, except there is no Spawn in it. So for those of you who are like, oh, do I have to be caught up on 327 issues of Spawn? No, you don't. In fact, I read this and I haven't read any Spawn since the 90s. And so this is, it's totally easy to jump in on. Sam and Twitch are two guys who are detectives who make each other's lives miserable. Sam is not he has a bad temper and is terrible and gets in all kinds of trouble. And Twitch is the guy who's kind of just like quiet and doesn't really speak out against Sam, and is actually really good at his job without having to rough up people. And so in issue 1, Sam gets them both suspended from the force because he attacks a teenager while he's trying to interrogate him. And so now they are both removed from the case and the force. And so Twitch goes to meet a friend that they were in the academy together, who's in another town, and who has asked him to come in and work on a case for him. And so he has gone out to help with a case of missing persons and possibly a serial killer in another city. And I'm already like sitting here trying to figure out like all the pieces of the puzzle to see if I can solve this case faster than them, because that's what I do when I read detective books, and I have a feeling we are going to get some good twists and turns. Todd McFarlane is writing on this one. He is doing the script and the plot, and you do get art from Simon Krodansky from Something Epic. So it's a really great team coming together with a new story from Sam and Twitch. And no, you don't have to know who Sam and Twitch are either. They really established that right away. I guess that was important too, because they are characters from the Spawn universe, but it doesn't matter. Humbaba, issue 2 of 4 from Blood Moon Comics. In the first issue of Humbaba, we saw a man who was in the swamplands and made some terrible decisions because he's like, oh, I'm just gonna use my, like, ego and my bad decision making to bring together this wonderful decision where I help this old lady open up an evil spirit, because I don't believe that evil spirits are a thing. And now he's unleashed an evil spirit on the entire swampland that's just ripping people apart. And at the end of issue 1, you totally thought that was the end of the whole thing, but we're back with an issue 2 of 4. So in this issue, we find out that there have been lots of monstrous creatures, and we essentially have a Frankensteinian doctor and a team of people who are just creating these evil entities and setting them loose on people in the wild of the swamps. And our character from issue 1 comes back to us in a surprising way and learns all of these things and how he himself has been a pawn in this game. And where is this going to go? I have no idea. But he is going to keep making bad decisions, I can tell you that, because that's what we got. But there is a monstrous creature on the loose, and somebody's got to stop it. And will it be him or will it be somebody else? We're going to find out as we keep going. Justice Ducks, issue 2 from Dynamite Comics. All of my Darkwing Duck fans, if you are not reading this, this is fantastic. So you had your Darkwing Duck series, which is still going on here. You had your Mega Duck miniseries, and now you have your Justice Ducks miniseries, because you got to have your Justice League crossover. And guess what? If you want to do nerdy, this is how you do nerdy, because not only did you give us Darkwing Duck, but then you have your Justice Ducks, which is essentially the Justice League within the Darkwing Duck universe. But let's take it up a notch by having this issue essentially be an episode of Doctor Who. So we've got a duck who is a Time Lord who travels in a box across time and space, who comes in with his companion, and they bring in their the bad guy, who is essentially the Master, who comes in and brings Daleks, who turn everybody into stone, and the Justice Ducks have to stop it all. Your nerd heart might explode if you are a kid of the 90s who loves Darkwing Duck, and you pick up this book, and you are also a kid who loves Doctor Who, or an adult who loves Doctor Who. Really, I almost feel like you have to be an adult to really get all the jokes in this. It is marvelous. It's wonderful. I can't. It's so good. It's wonderful. And again, it's just classic Darkwing Duck hijinks, but it's a Doctor Who episode. Can we stop the Daleks? Can we stop the Master? Does the Doctor even know what's going on? Who knows? Nobody knows but Darkwing, who also never knows what's going on.
Anthony Pizzo says Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yes. Yes, Anthony. It is 100%. They actually have a name for him. He has a name in this. What does he call himself? because it was in there, and let's see if I can actually find it. His assistant, his companion is Tulip. I know that. But I don't remember what they called him. They call it the old pod instead. Oh, the Maven is what they call the doctor. The Maven, and then his bad guy, I don't remember what they call him. It's like the antagonizer or something. It's something that's not the Master, obviously, because that's probably copywritten to Doctor Who. But yeah, it's fantastic. You guys, if you're Doctor Who fans, just read it. And if you like Darkwing Duck. If you like Doctor Who but you wanted duck jokes while you watched it, that's really the the key there. I Heart Skull Crusher issue 2 from Boombox. Anthony Pizzo is on this. You just said his name. He's watching, and this is he's already said this is in the running for Book of the Year for him. So, this is all about a young girl who lives in a post-apocalyptic world, very Tank Girl-esque, where water is your currency, and she has an obsession with screaming paintball, which is like roller derby if you murdered people in the process of playing it. And she has lost her parents. She's an orphan. She lives out in this apocalyptic desert community on her own, and all she wants is to someday meet Skull Crusher, who is the ultimate screaming paintball player, and she wants to play screaming paintball, and she's trained in it her whole life. She knows everything about it, and finally the opportunity comes because they are looking for people to come play in a tournament, and the winner will get to be on the actual screaming paintball team with Skull Crusher. But nobody likes her because she's the crazy girl who's obsessed with screaming paintball and also talks to skulls that she calls her parents. And so she is trying to build her own team out of all of the weirdest people. And in issue 1, she kidnaps a man who used to be really great to make him her coach. She convinces these bandits who came to kill her that they're on her team now, and they are going to be her defensive linemen, essentially, of her skull crushing team. And in this issue, she is trying to build out the rest of her team because it is time to sign up and enter the tournament, and she is going against these billionaires who have bought their best team in her first round of it. This book is so fantastic. I love Trini, who is our main character. She is the absolute best. I want to hug her. She is definitely already in the running for character that I want to be friends with at the Batastic Awards for next year, or for 2024. It's so good. It's so good. It sells out like crazy on the shelf, so don't miss it. Grab issue 1, grab issue 2, and just fall in love with a fantastic team of characters and a really ridiculous off-the-wall story. It has almost that like Scott Pilgrim level of off-the-wall to it, honestly, but it's gonna blow your mind. Up next, we have Helen of Windhorn, issue 2, also from Tom King, again, flexing his muscles, and Evelie on art, who is just bringing us some gorgeous scenery. If you didn't read issue 1, again, what are you doing with your life? Get out there and grab it. It's so good. But this is the story of Helen, who is 16. I think I said that I thought she was like closer to 20 earlier this week, but she is supposed to be in like 16-year-old. And she was on the run essentially with her dad. They were out living their best lives, and he was a writer of these crazy fantasy stories, and she idolized him, and he passes away, and so her grandfather sends a governess to go pick her up and bring her back, and she is all like off the wall. She's, she drinks way too much, she smokes way too much, and they're trying to, this governess has the terrible task of trying to reform her. And in that first issue, we find out that the place that they have come home to, Windhorn, is bleak and different than anything they'd imagined, but also all of the weird, crazy stuff that her dad wrote about might not be fictional. There might actually be something fantastical about the world that they live in that only exists in Windhorn, and her grandfather and her dad have been connected to it forever, and Helen has no idea that this is true, and she is trying to piece this together as big, crazy things are happening, and this poor governess is just like, I'm just trying to teach this girl how to have social grace and understand, like, basics of schooling. It's fantastic. It's all told from the point of view of the governess who did an interview with somebody years and years later who was trying to like prove whether or not like the stories were true and that there was any of this craziness. It is such a good book. It is probably the most fantastical thing Tom King has written, and it's marvelously done. It's beautiful. The art is amazing. Just read it, because when it gets nominated for all of the Eisners next year and you're like, what was that book? You're going to wish you had read it. So just get on it now. All right, I'm going to take a drink of Toro really fast because I got some number ones to talk about. And before I do that, I want to take a drink. Also, that bottle slides really easily. That was like on a track almost. It was so good. All right. Going back. Whoop. See, look at that. Moves with grace and dignity. We've got 7174 AD from Image and the Syzygy line. This is, I believe most of it is reprints of strips and unfinished work from Ashley Wood. But it is Ashley Wood, yeah. T.P. Lewis and Ashley Wood, I believe these are unfinished works that are kind of getting finished. But the first one is called, oh my gosh, what is it called? Vroom? Yes. But it is all about a duo star racer. That's what it is. And it's just kind of a classic race story in one of those like weird, like futuristic societies. And it's really cool. I love this book also because it's on newsprint and it smells like old book, and it's wonderful. But we've got, a kid who made some bad decisions, who everybody's like, hey, you need to get him out of here. He can't be a part of this league. And of course, you've got the one person that supports them, and it's like, yeah, but they're crashing and burning into everything, and they're destroying our world. And it's like, yes, but it's better than to have them not a part of our society, where they might, tell all of our secrets and talk about what we're doing. And so we get a little bit of a cliffhanger of that on like where that's going to go. I just love like this, again, it's like really like dark newsprint ink heavy art. And so it's just really cool to look at. And again, really cool to smell. I'm just going to sit here and smell this book, honestly. But then we also get, it flips and we get Miss and Mrs., which is a team of these women, and they are on this essentially space type mission, and they are battling against something. These feel like, some of these strips almost feel like they might be, again, like I said, like unfinished works, and I think I might have read that, but they are definitely like the first collected prints of some of these stories, and I just love that this is, you go comic strip and it's printed like up and down. That it's printed up and down like this. So, yeah, but these two girls, like they are in here and they are dealing with some highly, dangerous space people, and, okay, they are having to make some tough choices, and I love it because one of them is like, somebody's talking to them and they're like, oh, Mrs., and they're like, I'm Miss, and also, I love it because the whole thing, like at the end, is like, here's the shoes, because we don't really ever see them. We mostly only see their shoes and them walking, which is kind of a really cool way to do it. And when you do see them, it's very rare. But they have the Nabler is the bad guy that they're fighting. And so we're going to get to see this anthology style almost, where we're going to see collections of both of these sets of stories coming together in this book. We've got Silicone Bandits, issue 1 from Magma. This is a story that takes place in 2089, and there is a massive war, and now the former United States is controlled by 4 trillionaires who keep developing new artificial intelligence to try to control our world. And there are 2 scientists, Kenji Sato and Aurora Withers, who are brought in to work on the robotics for these new AI. And they create this Gen 47, essentially, of robots. And when they do that, nope, not that page. We'll go with this one. When they do that, they create like this perfect robot. That the thing about AI is like they have to have translucent skin. So they create these perfect like models that are translucent skin, but they're also able to think for themselves, even though there is a chip implanted into Kenji that allows him to kind of activate and deactivate them if they do go wrong. But they also have the ability to think for themselves and to create futuristic, like continue to create more tech and more ideas. And like they're like, nobody knows the limits of their mind. Well, because of that, the corporation is like, hey, why do I need you? I now have this AI that can create more AI. It can create, it's probably smarter than you. You said that it's smarter than any human as far as we know. So he ends up firing them and they are like, what are we going to do now? Our whole lives have been orchestrated by this job, and this is what keeps us in, and everybody else that's not a part of the robotics industry is essentially living in slums. Like, what do we do? And we find out that Kenji has been building his own future and a protective path for him and Aurora to go down in case something ever happened, because he knows that you can't trust these trillionaires. But that path could lead to their demise, or it could lead to the perfect revenge plan. And so we're going to see how that plays out for them, because already by the end of issue 1, so many wrenches have been thrown into this plan that are totally messing it up. So we're going to see if they're able to make it work. Blow Away, issue 1 from Boom Studios. This is a big Boom week. This is the story of a girl who is trying to get the footage she needs on a certain, I think it's a bird, a group of birds. She is trying to get this, she's out there, she's in the wild, she's a reporter, she's like, I've got to get this information. So she is out at the top of like a mountain peak, and she is watching this other mountain peaks, and she's trying to get this footage, you can see, of this bird and where they survive and how they are able to live, and she can't get the footage. But one day while she's watching her cameras, she happens to see 2 guys who are climbing up the cliffside. And this is a cliff that's like, hey, you can't just climb this. Like, it's dangerous. Nobody ever makes it up. Why would anybody do it? It's in the middle of a blizzard. This is like worse than climbing Everest kind of thing. And there's no path. Like, you only can climb the side. And she ends up witnessing these 2 guys going at it in different ways. And something happens between the 2 guys. And she's the only person who has any knowledge of it. And she's like, I'm not going to show you that. She's like, what do I do? How do I investigate? What do I go? Like, how do I find where these guys are and what's going on? And so she's going to have to go out into this crazy snow-covered, apocalyptic, like, end of world kind of snow that she's been like, nobody should be in this. She's going to have to go out there and do her own investigation if she wants to figure it out. And what she finds just leads us to a whole can of worms that we're going to open up. This is going to be a great adventure story, a great mystery story, just a fantastic story all the way around. I love Zach Thompson. I love the writing, like the way he tells stories. They always have like so many good layers and so many good twists and turns, and this is definitely going to be another one of those books for us. Biden's Titans versus Trump's Titans, issue 1 from Keenspot. You can tell we're in an election year because Keenspot always has all of the greatest parody books for the election year, and we are kicking it off with this one. So if you don't know, I love that they have this, like, the controversial opinions, like, and everything. It's parody. No, like, deal with it. But in over the last, 8 years, 10 years, they've been doing this. We had like some stories during the last election of Trump's Titans, I guess the previous election, and then the last one we had Biden's Titans and all of his team. And so this is bringing back everybody together, the Superior AOC, the Yang Gang, Bernie Sanders, they're all here. And over the last few months, we've seen Biden's Titans kind of come together to fight some evils, but now in the last issue of that, Ted Cruz took the time machine to the past and brought Trump's Titans to the future, to the now, to fight against the Biden's Titans, thinking that Trump would make him a part of his team. He did not. just so you know. And now they are in an ultimate battle that Trump has set up where they are all going to go head-to-head to fight against each other, and see how that's going to work out. And, of course, because this is a parody and it is a nonpartisan parody, there are ups and downs for both sides and a twist at the end that is going to lead us into what is actually going to happen as this continues to go forward. The teaser for setting up the future of where this book is going to go is fantastic. And if you have been following all of the Keen Spot political books since 2020, you'll recognize some of the clues for what's to come when you get towards that end. If you haven't been, you gotta jump in now, because it's like watching Saturday Night Live during an election year. It's just absolutely hilarious. All right, I've got some picks of the week. I told you that half of those books that I already talked about are definitely picks of the weeks as well, because I just loved everything this week. It was such a good week. But there are 2 books that I absolutely think, if you got to pick up and get started on if you haven't yet. So first up is Dudley Datson and the Forever Machine, issue 1 from Dark Horse. And this is Scott Snyder's newest Comixology original to print format. And honestly, every single one of Scott Snyder's Comixology originals that got printed, the first one at least, I've brought you as a pick of the week and told you needed to do it. And this is no exception. I'm a big fan of the Follow the Bouncing Ball adventure stories, and this is definitely one of them. This is about a young kid named Dudley. He's probably in his 20s. He's like a college student, and he's trying to become an inventor. He really, really wants to invent something great. But for him, the reason why is because his grandfather has raised him, and he is sick now, and he wants to figure out a way to either save his grandfather or to make enough money to pay somebody else to save his grandfather. And Dudley creates a really cool invention, and when it comes time to actually demonstrate it, it does not go well. And not only that, Dudley finds out that there is a whole world of things that he had no idea about. And now he is caught up in this problem and this secret society and these issues that come from the Forever Machine, which is essentially a device that inventors have used over the course of millennia to kind of help them along with their inventions, but also to kind of control a little bit of what happens. And we talk about the specialty kind of inventions, the ones that really change the world, and that you have to get there. And the thing is that the person who is from the secret society, who would be the one who would train Dudley, doesn't believe that Dudley is what he needs to be to do that, because he doesn't have the right spirit behind being an inventor. He only has the idea of, I need to make money. And that person, by the way, is this corgi. And there's a thing that goes all into this. There's a beautiful thing about how all inventors have great pets at the very beginning and all the different pets that they have. I love it. Scott Snyder obviously builds great universes. He tells great stories. This one is actually really, really funny. It has some really, full of heart, like really, really great heart moments. It's such a different take from, the last 2 books that came from Comixology from Scott Snyder. We had Canary, which was a dark Western horror kind of thing, and we had Barnstormers, which was a beautiful love story. This is giving us something completely different, and that's what I love to see from a creator. Like, keep taking us in a million different paths, and because this is one of those Dark Horse Comixology, you get 2 issues for every one, so it's going to be 3 parts, but it's really 6 issues. If you like adventure stories, this is going to be a great one, and the writing on it is absolutely fantastic as usual. And you get Jamal Eagle on the art, which is fantastic. And speaking of great art, this is, of course, why this is here, because Stefano Cartacelli is doing art on a new book with Francesca Perillo writing from Mad Cave Studios. This is a great new romance novel, and it is Love Me, and it's called A Romance Story. And if you've been listening to me talk on this live stream, I keep for the last 6 years, you know that I keep saying we need more amazing romance stories, and giving us one with Stefano on art is just such a cool concept. This is all about a robot who lives in a world where people have mostly been replaced by robots, so they're not happy about robots. They hate them, and because of that, he doesn't really have any friends, except for his cat that he can talk to. So you already sold me because you had a cat and he's a good guy and he talks and you know how I feel about cats in your romance story. That's amazing. But this robot is like, I just want to find somebody who can support me and love me and be a friend, and you know, I just want that connection that humans have. Like, I love that. And one day while he's driving his taxi, he ends up picking up a woman who likes all of the same things as him and is like, I love this music. Oh my God, I love this restaurant. Oh my gosh, I love this. We should go out sometime and continue to talk about this. And he is setting himself up for hopefully a love story that will be beautiful and wonderful, or it won't work out at all. Who really is to say how this is going to play out, but we are going to get hopefully a beautiful, fantastic romance story. I'm so excited. I love Stefano's art. I think it's always weird and crazy and wacky. But it is... What?
Is that Don't Spit in the Wind?
Yes. Yes.
I was trying to figure out what else he did.
He did Don't Spit in the Wind. He did Caffeinated Heart with Jonathan Hedrick. He did Sweet Downfall, which I know you really liked. Yeah, so fantastic artist, and this is already Francesca Perillo is telling us a great story. And I just really want this robot to be happy, so please don't break my heart, because you could easily do that. But it's called a romance story, and I want it to be a good romance because we need more good romances. But I'm already in love with this robot. I think he's wonderful. You gave me a cat best friend, and he talks, and you put Stefano in art, and it just looks so cool and amazing. And so it's fantastic. Pick it up if you didn't. I know a lot of you did. And again, happy 10-year anniversary to Mad Cave. All right,
Also Mad Cave.
Also Mad Cave. This is a great week to be Mad. Like, this is a great 2 weeks for Mad Cave. I'm so happy we got to be the April store because Mad Cave is like, April is rocking, and we get to talk about all of the amazing Mad Cave books. I mean, not like we're not going to talk about them all year long because I just love Mad Cave, but I'm excited to be a part of the kickoff of so many great books. All right, we got some more in stocks for you. This is just everything else that came out this week that if you didn't pick it up, you definitely need to catch it. We've got Walking Dead Deluxe issue 87. We are like flying through these. They come out every week. All it is the reprints of The Walking Dead in color because so many people have always wanted to see that. We've got Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft issue 3 from Dynamite, and I just love that cover. We've got Darkstalkers Jeddah issue 1. If you are a fan of Darkstalkers, they are giving you, Udon is giving you that in addition to all of the Street Fighter. Beware the Planet of the Apes, issue 4 from Marvel and your 20th Century Fox. I guess not 20th Century Fox, 20th Century Studios line. Army of Darkness Forever, issue 7 from Dynamite. This is Tony Fleece on that story, bringing you some Army of Darkness. Wonder Woman, issue 8 from DC, also Tom King. It was a very busy week for that man. What If Venom, issue 3 in this beautiful Peach Momoko cover. I love it so much. Ultimate Black Panther launched this week. I think it was actually issue 3, not 2. That was issue 2, so I'm just going to put that over there. Titans, issue 10. We have the Maria Wolf April variant. Because she is doing some ape-themed variants. We're going to see a couple more as we go in there. Roxanne presents Thor issue 1. This is a different Thor title to the Immortal Thor that is going on right now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan out this week. We've got Superman issue 13, also with a Maria Wolf April variant. I love this one. It's so fantastic. Recreating that classic Superman cover. Star Wars Mace Windu issue 3. If you are a Mace Windu fan, you need to be catching that title. Spider-Woman issue 6. This launched originally as a part of Gang War, but now the Spider-Woman story has just continued on its own. So for those of you who were like, I'm not reading Gang War, but I want a Spider-Woman title, guess what? It kept going. You can keep reading. Spectacular Spider-Man issue 2, Peter and Miles teaming up together for a title. Miles Morales issue 19, and we've got one of those Tomb of Dracula homage variants leading up to Blood Hunt. I always love to see that they put the Tomb of Dracula cover that it homages on the back. I think that was genius, and we should do that more often with homages. Red Hood The Hill issue 3 from DC. If you didn't know, Red Hood's got a title that's not an Outsiders title. The Outsiders have their own title right now, and Red Hood has his own title. It's a crazy world we live in. Nightwing issue 113. This is also Legacy issue 300 for Nightwing, which is insane to me to think that we have hit 300 issues of Nightwing. But congratulations, Dick Grayson. John Constantine, Hellblazer Dead in America issue 4. If you didn't notice, this is actually labeled as part of your Sandman universe for those of you who are reading Constantine. We've got Green Lantern War Journal issue 8. I have a lot of people who are really loving this title right now, so if you are Green Lantern fans, jump on this because this is a Jon Stewart Green Lantern title. Tomb of Ghost Rider Final Vengeance issue 2, also a Tomb of Dracula homage, which I guess it's really just called Ghost Rider Final Vengeance, but I like that they put the Tomb of on it. We've got Jay Garrick The Flash issue 6, which may be the wrap-up of that. I'm going to spoil that for me. Yes, this is the wrap of that Jay Garrick miniseries for you JSA fans. They've all got titles right now, so you should be reading them. Catwoman issue 4. This is the Derek, or 54. Wow, I am no numbers. I can't read numbers at all today. This is your Derek Chew cover for Catwoman. She had some really cool variants this week. She has really cool variants every time she comes out, but we've got Captain Marvel issue 7 as a part of that new Captain Marvel series that's been going on this year, and it has been a lot of fun. We've got Black Widow and Hawkeye back again, issue 2. This is your Window Shades variants. They are still giving people those who haven't had them yet, if you didn't know that. Batman Superman World's Finest, issue 26. Also part of your Maria Wolf April variants. We've got Batman Offworld issue 4 and the Avengers Twilight issue 5, 2 big series that have been going on recently. And then we've got a couple trade paperbacks left in stock this week. We had a big trade paperback, people coming picking up graphic novels and trades. First up, we have Caped Fear, which is superhuman horror stories, which is really cool. So if you've ever wanted to see like superheroes and a horror version and just all new characters, this is really great. And it's got stories from people like Neil Gaiman, Mark Waid does the introduction, Jim Starlin has a story in here, George R.R. Martin has a story in here. There's a lot of big names on that. Daredevil volume 1 of the new run of Daredevil. So this is Saladin Ahmed's new Daredevil run. This is the first arc of that already in trade. And then Rocketeer's newest story, The Den of Thieves, is out in trade paperback form, which is great because I know we sold out of most of those issues. So if you are looking to read it, here's your chance. All right, that's what we got for you. Don't forget, this week is huge. We've got Academic Avengers Family Fun Day on Saturday from 11 to 4. You can come play some games, win some prizes, have a fun time with your family. We've got the teacher educator workshop, seminar, reception, whatever you want to call it, because all of those things happen on the 25th from 5 to 7. And of course, what?
I'm interviewing.
You haven't announced that yet. I've been waiting for you. That's on you.
Oh, well, I can't. I'm not behind.
Do you want to come over here and announce it? Do you want me to tell them?
Sure.
Okay, you haven't wanted to say it yet, so I even said at the beginning, Matt has a secret announcement he still hasn't shared. So, are you ready to share it? Because I feel like that's your announcement. I don't want to steal it. Okay, on Thursday afternoon, Matt will actually be interviewing the creative team on the current Dick Tracy title, as well as the create like not what it, I'm like, how do we say cartoonist? What do you call it when somebody just the strip? Like he was the writer on the strip, but he also did the art. The artist on the strip, and that's a cartoonist at that point, right?
Technically, but he did Green Lantern. I mean, he created Kilowog.
Oh wow, I didn't know Joe's.
Yeah.
Okay, well he'll be interviewing Joe Staten, who created Kilowog, which I had no idea. That I just learned that right now. And worked on Dick Tracy for over a decade. And on the strip for Dick Tracy for over a decade. He will be in conversation with Matt, Alex Segura. The artist, I believe, is also going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, huh?
Marisi?
No, Maurice. That's Michael Morrissey. He's not going to be there.
Okay.
But yeah, the creative team is going to be there. It's going to be amazing. Matt is going to be interviewing them, talking about working on Dick Tracy, talking about their love for Dick Tracy. That is Thursday. It is going to be amazing. I don't know if it's going to live stream or if it will be something you can catch later, but it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited about that. And then, of course, Wednesday from 3:30 to 7:30, you can pop into the store to get your copy of our Dick Tracy exclusive and get it signed by our artistic team, artist Adrian Prudhomme and colorist Austin McKinley. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to hold them both up side by side so you can see them. I have to put this one at an angle so you can see it. I know, probably not the right angle, but you can catch both of these. You can grab one, you can grab both. They're going to be on sale on this Wednesday. You can get, it is a CGC signature series signing, so you can get that yellow label signature if you want to for these two guys when they sign it. They will also be selling remarks for them. You can get one or both of them to do a remark for you. However you want your Dick Tracy experience. I guess I can say you can also get it signed if you wanted to, because I've had a couple people ask us, by me and Matt. If you want your Bat City exclusive to have mine and Matt's signatures, that will be included on your label if you get it signed. So we will not be ruining your book. You will not be a green label if we sign it. We don't need to sign it, but some people have asked if we could sign it because it's Bat City. So if you would like Matt and I to sign it, it will not ruin your yellow label. It will be okay. We wanted to make sure of that before it happened. So, but if you want to come out, get it signed by these guys. They actually did the work. We didn't do anything to make this happen other than just find cool people who could make it happen.
And send emails.
Right, get Matt to sign it because Matt sent a lot of emails and I'm super proud of him. So if you know Matt, you know he doesn't like emails and he sent a lot of emails to make these happen. So you know what, just send him an email to tell him you're proud of him. He'll see it in a year. But that's going to be incredible. It's going to be a great week at Bad City. And, of course, there's just amazing books coming out this week. Creature from the Black Lagoon from Ron V. and Dave Waters also comes out this week. So it's going to be great. Come talk comics with us on Wednesday or anytime this week. Come to our events. Come support these amazing artists as they're out here. Put free comic book day on your calendar for May 4th, 11 to 4. It's going to be fantastic. And until we see you at all of those things, happy reading, everyone. Have a wonderful week.